Hello and welcome to this special edition of Talk to the CEO. I'm Darielle Snipes with the CMSD News Bureau. This Talk to the CEO is special because this will be Eric Gordon's last as CMSD's Superintendent and CEO. Mr. Gordon has been with the district for 16 years, 12 as CEO. Mr. Gordon has moved the district forward with numerous accomplishments, including signing into law the Cleveland Plan, successfully passing levies, and bringing Say Yes Cleveland to CMSD. And for the last time, I would like to welcome CMSD Superintendent and CEO, Eric Gordon. Well, welcome, Eric, for your very last Talk to the CEO.
Great to be here.
Well, let's get started with some business before we try to say some goodbyes. But, you know, the CMSD Summer Learning Experience is in full swing. K through 8 started last week. High school students started this week. How's it going? How many students enrolled?
We have 6,300 kids enrolled from kindergarten through 12th grade. That's about where we were last year. So really pleased that our kids came back. Most kids elected full-time, so finish, enrich, and engage. And we're off to a really great start. I'm really excited to see everybody coming back for another great summer.
It is, and a lot of fun activities that are planned. But one thing that I thought was interesting is I heard that a lot of the high school students, or some of the high school students, will be working at some of the K through 8 sites to get hands-on experience. This is a great way for them to learn about education and get paid at the same time.
Well, there's a few goals here. So one is that we found that the engagement at high school is just different coming out of the pandemic, and what we were trying in the prior summer learning experiences just wasn't working. But these learn-to-earn opportunities are what kids want right now, and it gets them into our younger grade classrooms and gives them the opportunity to even think about being a paraprofessional in the district for their out-of-school career, which we need paraprofessionals, so it's a win all the way around.
It is, and another great program is students can learn how to be a philanthropist this year as a part of the Get More Opportunities Fund. I mean, this was a wonderful gift from Mackenzie Scott, the $20 million unsolicited, and now students are tweaking the process so that when years to come, students can use this process, but they're also going to be approving some of the grants. I mean, this is just a great thing that keeps on giving. It's a great gift.
You know, we really wanted the students to control this money. We've had 2 of their philanthropy days where they've given away grants written by other students, by teachers, by members of the community. They gave about $400,000 each time. And now they're using those 2 experiences to actually have a summer learning experience course to design the Looking Forward Philanthropy, what it looks like, how it operates, and their demonstration of learning will be to test it out by doing the summer distribution. Here we're after making sure that our young people see themselves on the boards of the Cleveland Foundation or the Gunn Foundation or national foundations, or maybe working in philanthropy as a career, and just another opportunity for our students to take ownership and have voice in what happens inside our district.
But some of the things that they've already approved in the last 2 rounds are just some amazing things. Trips so that students can go to trips to Africa or overseas, you know, so that students can get their driver's license so that they can go to a job or they can go to another learning experience. The one thing that I thought was interesting is they approved equipment for nonverbal students so that they can get their eyesight tested so that they can see properly in the classroom. I mean, these are some amazing things that they are doing to give back to the community.
The students are really taking this seriously. It's been fun to watch them because, you know, they really studied in our first session the difference between charity and philanthropy. And I watched one group talking about a trip for 8th grade students to Washington, D.C., which for many of us was a tradition when we were growing up, but for our kids it's not always the case. And they had this really rigorous debate about, well, charity is one-time giving that doesn't last. Philanthropy has a broader purpose, and the debate was, yeah, but the impact, the life-changing impact for this group of kids is worth it? Approved. I mean, they're really thoughtful about these gifts and grants, and they've done just an amazing job. And I'm just so pleased that Mackenzie Scott gave us this incredible gift that they will control for the entire spend over the next 5 years.
Wonderful. And so, you know, the Planning and Career Exploration Program, or PACE, which started here in November of 2021, is expanding to about 10 school districts this coming school year. I mean, it was always in the framework that it was going to expand, but did you think it was going to happen so soon?
Well, I didn't know how quickly it would happen, but there's, again, a couple of things that matter here. One is that I've always believed the work we do in Cleveland should be an exemplar to lift up the region. And so, you know, it's good for us that our work is recognized, and it's good to help smaller districts around us that don't always have the same capacity just because of their size. But more importantly with PACE is employers do not look for their future employees within school district boundaries. They look regionally. And so if we didn't quickly take a regional approach, then we weren't going to actually change the trajectory of how young people access fulfilling and meaningful work, right? And so with the help of the county and now the city of Cleveland and ARPA dollars, we were able to expand not only the investments being made here in Cleveland by the city, but investments into 10 other first-ring districts through dollars being supported by the county.
And it's just wonderful that now to have this as a regional, that more employers will look at all the schools and just look at the student, and they'll have their pool, it'll be bigger so that our students will stay here locally.
So employers now have one way to behave with 11 of the districts that have many of the kids in the county, compared to what used to be the case of, well, I have to talk differently to Richmond Heights, differently to Cleveland, and that's not how employers look for their employees. So this regional approach of combining our efforts together gives a one-stop shop, and the Greater Cleveland Career Consortium is really the avenue for that to happen.
Yeah, that's really great. So, I know it's summertime and we don't want to talk about back to school just yet, but it's getting to be about that time. So I know you won't be here, but what will families look forward to, or what can they look forward to in the coming school year?
Well, what I want families to really be thinking about is what are the tools you will use to be a successful student and family in the district, because we have the resources now. So how do you make sure that your device is ready to go at those back to school meet and greets? We're refreshing them over the summer, taking advantage of our new IT Connect resources, 24 hours support by phone and a walk-in desk that families can use, making sure that they know about our tutoring programs, both the 24/7 tutoring that's literally around the clock, and also our live tutoring program. Thinking about what does it take to be a successful student here, because the resources are here to be successful, and that's how I really hope that our students and families will enter the coming year.
And I know that, with the Get More and experience, is there anything else that they can look forward to? Any add-ons to what we already have?
Not add-ons, but maintenance, right? We're going to continue our esports programs in our high schools. Civics 2.0 is alive and well. We're making a journalism version of it that's going to work with you and your peers right out of our high schools. We still have 0 and 9 period for art, music, and physical education activities. We've expanded the Senate League, and we're expanding our demonstration of learning days. We have 10 schools that are taking full-on complex tasks worth productive struggle that students then demonstrate to their parents and others. So really solidifying and embedding the out-of-school time activities, integrated health supports, just all of the things that we've been branding as the CMSD experience that you really can get more here.
Wonderful. And you just mentioned it about the IT Connect Welcome Center at the first floor of the East Professional Center. The grand opening was last week. Just talk about how that is so exciting. I know we've become a one-to-one district, and that it's very important to have learning anytime, anywhere. But now, if there's a hiccup with your computer, you don't have to stop. You can call, get help, and keep moving on with your lesson plan.
Yeah, anytime, anywhere doesn't really mean anything if you can't get help anytime, anywhere, right? So that device has to work, and when it doesn't, you need access. And so there's 3 interlocking pieces to this that I'm really excited about. The first is the new IT Connect Center. It moves our old help desk, which was on the 3rd floor and only really accessible to staff, down to the 1st floor atrium of our professional center, where families can walk in and go right to the IT Connect Center, which looks and feels very much like the Brain Bars, Apple or Geek Squad or what have you. And get help live from 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. on business days. The other, though, is the IT Connect Phone Center. Our hotline is now 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so you don't have to wait for normal business hours anymore. If you're working in the middle of the night, and I have a really fun example of a student who was doing our tutoring at 2 in the morning over a holiday. Well, if something happened for that student at 2 in the morning, because that's when he was doing geometry, now the help center's open at 2 in the morning. And then the third is the wrap vans that will be going out to schools with IT Connect, bringing it directly to our schools to support the technology in our buildings. And so we really do now have at East Professional Center, at every school, and 24 hours a day by phone, anytime, anywhere support.
And that's great to have that support, because once that computer goes down, for some of us, including me, it's a done deal.
Yep.
So let's talk about some of our students. Recently, 4 Glenville High School football players, they were on the championship team. They committed to colleges before their senior year, 2 going to Ohio State, 1 going to West Point, another one going to the University of Louisville. I mean, this just speaks volumes about how, the Get More experience has really taken a charge for our students so that they are getting this national attention and getting attention across the state and nationally. I mean, what do you have to say?
Well, first of all, you got to say congratulations
Yes.
and kudos to Coach Ginn, because it's his football team. It's also his boys track team that now for the second year in a row has won the state championship. But it's also part of our larger investment. So we're seeing the success at Rhodes. We're seeing the success at East Tech. We're seeing the successes across the district. These are more living examples of the incredible talent. We have our HBCU combines now so that more of our kids are getting seen by these college recruiters in football, basketball, track, and other activities. And all of this is an effort, again, first of all, for our kids to have authentic ways to demonstrate their skills and their talents, and secondly, for them to get seen on the same stages that so many other kids have traditionally been able to be seen.
Yeah, and speaking about that national attention, many of our students in Civics 2.0, they were elected to the youth student offices here in the state of Ohio, and currently they are traveling in DC and North Carolina at national conferences, being recognized and being true leaders.
Yeah, so this is another one I'm really excited about. Our Civics 2.0 program is only a couple of years old, but our students went to the state competitions where they actually have to run for offices and that sort of thing. And one of our students was elected Ohio governor, and the other as a justice to the Supreme Court of Ohio. And when there were 3 other students also elected to office, but these 2 particular offices then actually go to the national convenings. So all of the governors from across the country come together, all of the Supreme Court justices come together, and they actually will be engaged in planning year-long events for next year's competition. So this is really an honor for our kids, and again, placing them against their peers in schools that have been doing these programs for years, and here our kids are 5 officers elected just in their first go.
Right, and this is something they can put on their resume, something that they will remember for a lifetime, and soft skills that they will learn that will help them in their future.
Well, and part of what I love about it is that younger students actually go as reporters, so they cover the conference, and we had a number of our students who are actually reporters and were sending back live streaming feeds to us here in Cleveland about what their peers were doing, what offices they were running. They were recording their speeches, they were watching them present bills, and so it truly is a fully immersive, interactive experience in the civics experience. Again, an authentic, complex task that students are engaged and interested in, and these are our future politicians. These are the people I want running for office and taking those seats in Columbus.
So, this is the time in the show where, it's like, saying goodbye. I know you've had many goodbyes, many goodbyes. But what I wanted to mention to you, as this being your last talk to the CEO, the segment started in December of 2016, and you've done about 35 of these, periodically throughout the school year. Some of the topics covered on the very first Talk to the CEO are things that you're still talking about today. School lunches, snow days, uniforms, those things never go away. But, at that time, the levy had just passed, and so you were talking about how you wanted to raise the bar and expand those resources. Since you've taken office or taken, the helm of CMSD in 2012 as CEO, you have definitely raised the bar. So what do you think about the fact that, in 2016 when this segment started, that's what you were talking about, and the bar has been raised with just many of the things we've just talked about?
Well, look, I'm really proud of all of the accomplishments we've had, but I'm also equally aware that there are young people we have not yet succeeded for. Somebody, I've been asked a number of times, like, what do you count as your successes? And I love graduations. I was at 25 of our 31 graduations this year. Every young person across that stage is one of my accomplishments in a small way. Some I know well, some I know barely, some I don't know. But in a small part, that's a win. But for everyone that walked across that stage over 16 years here, there are many that didn't, and I own that too. So I want, as we look forward, I want the community to stay focused on leveraging what's working for many and making it work for all. I've always said that you can't do this job for 36,000 kids one time. You have to do it for one kid 36,000 times, and that's really how I approach it.
Wonderful. So I know, you said that when you announced that you were leaving, that you were going to sit around until you got bored. Well, obviously you didn't get bored. And you've also talked about, some of the things that you might miss. Obviously you're not going to miss those 3 a.m., wake up, see if it's snowing, and calling people and waking people up for snow days. But I mean, is there something that you will definitely miss when it comes to this position?
You know, I'm going to miss the kids. I'm going to miss going into schools and going to events and going to the sport events and, you know, going to the mock trials and all the stuff that comes around that. Fortunately, I've found a next opportunity that's going to let me continue to work with a lot of our young people and other students, both directly from high school and those returning to school. So I'll find a replacement for that. But the joy is always, when, you know, we use the language joy and adventure. The joy and adventure here has always been about the kids. I won't miss those snow day calls, and frankly, somebody else gets a turn to be wrong at every turn. You know, those 3 in the morning calls. And ironically, even in these last couple of weeks with summer learning experience, we've had one threat of fire and 2 power outages in the last 3 days.
Oh, wow.
Like, it's just not over yet, right? I won't miss that. But I will just miss the opportunity to be in and out of our schools, in and out of our activities, and just watching our young people thrive.
So in your new role at Tri-C, you're going to be the Senior Vice President of Student Development and Education. So what will you be doing?
So yeah, it's a title that's too long. I'm going to need a bookmark for my business card. So there's kind of 2 core functions about it, and I'm excited about both in different ways. So the first is student development, and what Dr. Baston has charged me with doing, in my words, is to really interrogate the system to figure out what makes it easy or hard to get into Tri-C, what makes it easy or hard to stay in Tri-C, and what makes it easy or hard to successfully leave Tri-C. And then to get rid of the hard stuff, remove the barriers and micro barriers. Well, that just strikes to my passion of blowing up systems, which probably is not what Tri-C wants to hear, but in a loving way, like redesign systems so that they work better, and also being an advocate for students and getting to know students who, you know, our students they're compulsory. They have to be here by law. The student at Tri-C elected to be there for some set of reasons, and understanding those motivations and then thinking about how that's going to allow them to have a successful journey when we understand them better. So think of a Tri-C version of student advisory. Really excites me. Then there's the second half, the educational pipeline, and Dr. Baston has a vision that he wants me to help him think about of what is the community college, not just Tri-C, but the community college role in preschool education, in K-12 education, in 4-year bachelor degree education, and in post-bachelor degree, graduate degree, you know, terminal degree education, and not just thinking about the community college as kind of the plug-in from high school or back from the workforce and plug out to the workforce or onto 4-year, but more of a global, you know, responsibility or a global, you know, ownership of, you know, from birth through life education, which is just super exciting to think about repositioning community colleges as an important player in that whole spectrum. So I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, I'm excited for you, and it also sounds like you'll still be there for our kids and helping them to get to that next level.
That's the best part. So many of our kids take advantage of Tri-C. You know, it's the cost, it's home. It cuts the 4-year degree that they go on to just 2 years degree, and with their SAYS scholarship, room and board gets a lot cheaper, you know, the one thing that they have to pay. So I'm going to see a lot of my CMSD kids, but I'm also going to be out of the way, you know, because you know, no good comes of me showing up at everything in CMSD and then the new CEO, Dr. Morgan, hearing, well, Eric Gordon would have done this, or Mr. Gordon would have done that, or he was here and he said. And so it gives me a way to stay engaged in the educational ecosystem here in Cleveland, but in a space that is deliberately different than the space that he'll be stepping into.
And I think, you know, one thing that you've always talked about is if you're having a bad day, you just go to a school and you see kids. And so you'll still have that advantage. I mean, yes, they'll be bigger kids, but you'll get to see, go to a class. And
fully expect to see me sitting in a commons on one of the 3 campuses with my book bag on the floor and my laptop open so that I can meet, you know, students and learn about their experiences.
Wonderful. And I know that was like one of the things that you like to do as a part of your daily routine when you had a chance and you weren't in meetings. Is there anything else that you'll miss a part of your daily routine as CEO?
I'm going to miss the people. This organization has just incredible people at all levels of it. And you know, I had my last board meeting last night, and you know, I got a chance to interact with one of our environmental service specialists who was, you know, really, you know, working hard to make sure that the school was, you know, polished and ready for the meeting. And then interacting with some of our security officers who were there, a couple of teachers who were there, a couple of my favorite parents were there. You know, I'm going to miss the people. This is a special place. This community is a special place, and CMSD is an important part of that.
And as the special people are the students. I mean, you've always talked about how you have touched their lives, but how have they touched you?
Oh, I can't even describe. I mean, I think people know there are many of the young people that I've had the opportunity to work with who have truly become part of my family. And I don't take that lightly. I really mean it. My wife and I really mean it. I just admire our kids and our families. I just think they're remarkable kids and families that I hope I've played a small part in helping find their successes.
And I know that you've had the longest goodbye. And you have a lot of clocks, a lot of plaques, and different mementos that you can, definitely decorate your new office with. And you've passed the baton to Dr. Warren Morgan, who will be the new CEO. But what is the one final thing, as this is your last talk to the CEO, that you want to say to parents, staff, and students as we move forward?
Yeah, I want to say a couple of things, particularly for Dr. Morgan, and then just a final thank you to the community. But for Dr. Morgan, first of all, I'm really excited about Dr. Morgan. I actually hired him into Cleveland back in 2014 in his first district level role. So I've seen him in action, and I know that he can do this job. And I know that he has the professional humility not to think that there are simple solutions to really complex challenges. And that's really, really important. My caution for our community is, you mentioned this kind of ongoing goodbye. I've been here a long time, and I really want to caution our community not to expect him to be me, but to give him the space to be the best him that he can be. One of me is a good plenty, But I say that with a little tongue in cheek, but I really mean it. We need all of us, kids and parents and educators, all need to give him the space to be the best him that he can be and the best CEO he can be, and not just to be the next me. For him, and I've said this to him, in addition to all of the places that you get smart about how to do the job, the professionals that do it, the people in the community, and you know this from me anyway, I want to make sure that he remembers to, go directly to the students, ask them, listen to them, and trust them. Some of the best things we've accomplished is because I tested my thinking with the people who are going to be impacted by that thinking, and they've changed it, or they've helped me to understand things that only they could know, right? So I hope that for him and us too. And then to the community, on Friday I will no longer be the CEO, but that doesn't mean they won't always be my kids. So I'm going to be cheering everybody on and watching and really excited about what's next for Cleveland.
Well, we thank you for your service, and we appreciate everything you've done, and we wish you well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.